the fabulous Fairfield High School, we are looking for 3 new Learning Support Assistants, LSAs.
These pupils are part of a recruitment drive by Fairfield High School in Bristol. As a school which serves a diverse cultural community, in the past it's struggled to recruit from ethnic minorities, until Bunge Adedeji came up with the idea of using local radio.
We're a very mixed school, culturally and racially, and we wanted to look at different ways of recruiting by using methods that the people in the school were familiar with.
If you'd like more information or to visit the school, then please call Bunge.
We knew a lot of members of minority ethnic communities use community radio a lot to both listen to and do sort of become aware of local events and stuff like that. So we decided to switch from not using the local paper at all and just using community radio.
While it's radio which helps this secondary school find staff, later we'll see how the local and national press came to the rescue of a primary school facing a recruitment crisis.
What do you think, first of all, we need to think about in the ad?
Well, we need to have catchphrase.
Catchphrase.
Yes.
The students are involved from the earliest opportunity in recruiting, and we talk about the issues about who we need to recruit before we do the advert with a group of children, and then we get volunteers from them who'd like to actually place the advert and be involved in it and take the time to record it, write it, and actually go to the studio and do it. Do we want to say something about the school to give them sort of...
It's great.
It is great.
It's kind of good experience for us to do things like this because you might want to do it when we're older, and it makes the school look good.
And as a result of that, we're still oversubscribed, so...
Yes.
Do you think
everyone
it would be
wants
good
to be in Fairfield?
Yeah.
Things like newspapers, like you can just quickly skim past it, but radio can more catch your attention, and even if you're not really paying attention.
It gives you more of an idea of what the school's like it can make you think that the students are actually nice, seeing as they're willing to do an advert for you.
Committed.
Yes.
The radio advertisements to recruit learning support assistants have the added benefit that pupils play a significant role in the whole process.
Confident. I like confident. You have to be confident to work here, don't you?
Yeah, you really do.
Hard-working.
Enthusiastic.
It's much more fun for kids to think that in order to, get somebody to work here, that they've got some say in it. And afterwards, they come up to me rushing at the end of the day and say, "Who got the job, miss? Who got the job? Was it that one?" Or they were really good, and they're really excited. So the relationship with that member of staff who's appointed and the kids has already begun, and then that's, they're really looking forward to it. So it's positive all round, really.
We are looking for staff who have...
LSA Angelina Morrison agrees.
I was at home listening to the radio on a Monday afternoon, and it was on the radio, and it was a really catchy advert, and it caught my eye. It was young children from Fairfield talking about what they needed in the school, who they needed to help them, so that really struck me because obviously I wanted to work with young people at the time. It pulled me from the community to help the children in our community to thrive.
Once the ad is ready, it can be recorded. For this session, Bristol Community FM set up a studio at Fairfield, offering its services free of charge.
There we go.
Do take a seat. Oh, you've got your scripts and everything, that's good. It's very important for us to work with local schools. Schools are fantastic because we're teaching not only how to be a broadcaster, how to make adverts, but it's all about the other skills as well, confidence building and the guys learning to work with each other. It's all communication skills and everything that comes along with working in a radio station. What about music?
We wanted a backing track, yeah, we want something in the back.
Okay, what sort of things are you thinking of?
We haven't really decided about that, and we wanted like a loud noise at the beginning of the advert.
In terms of asking the kids to record it, it's really nice just because it's personal. It somehow says we're the kids and we want you, and it says more about what the job's about. And you see that in a lot of adverts where they get the kids to draw a picture of what their ideal head teacher would look like or what their ideal teacher would look like.
We would welcome applicants.
There's a primary school in Sheffield that has, the children have recorded a song saying how much they want a new head teacher to try and see if that will encourage people to come and work at their school. It just says you will be working with children, this is what the job is about. It gets to the point of why you would do it, which I think sometimes a lot of the adverts do tend to miss.
It's 37 hours per week, term time only, which means you will not work during the school holidays. If you'd like more information or to visit the school, then please call Bunge on
But does this method of recruitment actually work?
And what we noticed from the adverts was that we got our application forms in general for learning support assistants shot up, and we were sort of receiving about 40 plus completed ones, which is high. But when we analysed who was applying for the jobs and who'd listened, we noticed that we were getting a much more representative sample of the local community, so African, Somalian, Asian and white British were up, and it was more equal across the racial groups. And it's worked each time, every time we've had that, and we've right to shortlisting and right to appointment as well. So it has actually been, completely successful. We haven't ever sort of dropped off from application stage to interview. We've gone all the way, so we've proved that it works, and it's much cheaper.
While radio has worked for Fairfield, this primary school in Blackpool turned to the local newspaper when it couldn't find a new head teacher. Its outgoing head was known as being charismatic and outspoken, a hard act to follow.
It was there in the back of my mind, and it was there in the back of the minds of the governors, because there was, and I think perhaps still is, a perception that it's hard to get primary heads, and it's probably even more difficult to get good ones. We asked the staff in a staff meeting that I wasn't present at, that was led by the governors, what sort of a head they would like to see appointed. We asked the kids what sort of a head they would like to see appointed. They asked me what sort of a head I would like to see appointed, and I said somebody who's not like me. And then the governors themselves had their own ideas of what sort of a head they would want to work with. And once they got that idea, they started to put together the pack of information that would go out with the application form.
Waterloo's governors, staff and pupils were very clear about the type of head teacher they wanted to fill Peter Rawcliffe's shoes.
They were looking for somebody who would acknowledge that Waterloo School is a very good school. It's not a very good school by accident, and if it's left to its own devices, it won't remain a very good school for long. And you can say that about just about every school, I guess. That I was one of a kind, really. And they were looking for somebody who would take the school from where it was and take it on, not necessarily in a direction that I would have taken it, and not necessarily using the methods that I would have used, but somebody individual, somebody who thought for themselves and who was prepared to take risks.
But despite several job advertisements in the Times Educational Supplement, the school struggled to generate sufficient interest in the vacancy.
The local press was quite surprised that we hadn't been able to appoint, because the school's got a fantastic reputation locally, and they thought that folk would be queuing up to be the head teacher. And they did a little piece, and we encouraged them to do a little piece.
The resulting publicity attracted the attention of a journalist on the Times Ed.
Someone rang up and said, look, we're interested in it. We're doing a piece on the difficulties of recruiting primary heads. We know you, and we know that you're quite outspoken. Could we do this little piece on you? And of course you'd have to say yes, wouldn't you?
The head there was relatively well known, and he'd achieved a lot, and it was a high achieving school. It was a school with a lot of good equipment, and still they weren't able to recruit a head. And so we thought this was possibly indicative of a trend across a large number of primary schools.
If that opportunity presents itself, then you must seize it. You say yes straight away and think about it afterwards. Because if you say no, they'll say thank you very much and phone somebody else. And then it's too late for you to think about it afterwards. And I think that you can always, no matter what the circumstances are, you must take your chance to put your side of the story and to present your school positively, and the kids in your school positively, and the achievements of the teachers and everybody else.
On the day the article was published, a head teacher and his family arrived back in England after 3 years running a primary school in New Zealand.
I'd not got anything planned with no, job opportunities sorted out. Came back towards the end of March, arrived at Heathrow one Friday morning, and Friday is the day that the Times Ed comes out, so I thought, we'll buy a copy. And the first thing I saw on the Times Ed, the front page, was this empty chair with Peter Rawcliffe advertising the post. Now, I didn't, I saw that and read the article. I didn't immediately then start calling round. But about the following Tuesday, I gave Peter a ring and spoke to him at length, and that made me think, there could be a possible. I'm a great believer in the gut feel. Having spent, many years in education and visiting various schools, you can have a look round a place and you know whether the children, are happy there, whether the staff are happy, where what's been taught is relevant to those children. And coming round the school, the first visit that I had round the school, I got a really good positive feel. Having met the two ambassadors that took me round, the 2 Year 6 children, and they were enthusing about the place. And I don't know whether they knew I was a possible prospective head or whatever. And then I spent another hour with Peter, and he gave me the warts and all of the school. He didn't hold anything back. He was open. He was honest.
Mark Gray was interviewed, got the job, and is now busy making Peter Rawcliffe's chair his own.
I would say, as a person, I would like my school to be, quite a steady rock, if you like, in the community, where people know that we do our very best and we produce good children.
I think he's not as quick to speak out as I am, but I mean, you have to bear in mind that this is a chap new to a job, and if I was him, I'd be keeping my powder dry as well.
I'm not as loud as Peter. I can't tell a joke as well as he can, but I think I've got the same sort of beliefs. I think virtually all head teachers are strong of an inner core, if you like, of beliefs, and are quite stubborn in that respect.
He's probably a lot more thoughtful than me and thinks about things a lot more carefully before he decides to act. He gives out the impression that he knows what he's talking about, which is not always the case when you're interviewing people, and he inspires confidence.
There's no doubt what I want to do is not throw everything out and start again, because that's not the way to build success.
What Waterloo have demonstrated very clearly is the benefit of having a relationship with the local press. Obviously, they've been able to exploit that. And if you build up that sort of relationship, then you can go to them with ideas that perhaps otherwise they might not be interested in taking. But it's about building that relationship and building that reputation so that they come to you and so that they're interested in what you have to say and they don't see you as just another school.
Mark Gray has no intention of running another school. He wants to nurture the strong relationship his school already has with the media.
We live in quite a deprived area of Blackpool, where things do happen that will shock and surprise you. But I think if you've got the good relationship with a reporter or a paper in general, it works both ways. And I think if they understand Blackpool, because it's not such a huge place, and know the challenges that schools face, that they do have, they want to build that relationship. So it's a two-way thing.